there was things that I said that I look back now, I'm like, why did I say that? You know? But yes, I let people live.
The truth is important. The truth was what was able to liberate one of your interviewee guests from a real cult. And that's the whole reason why I'm saying, okay, now these things, I'm looking at it, okay, you maybe you're not, I'm going to just take it, you're not doing this maliciously. You do say that you have trauma, but it's just a whole bunch of things being said that are not true. I don't even know any kind of way to gloss it up. It's a whole bunch of things being said that aren't true. So that's for someone else to figure out. Why is it being said? You know what? Maybe you know why it's being said. And maybe you can say it's trauma. You know it's trauma, but let's stick as people who enjoy science. Let's stick to the facts. That's one of the reasons why I'm not gonna lie, I even enjoyed hearing the Satanists that you had and interviewed speak, because it showed that he was actually a person that is a thinker. And I do believe what he said, that it's important to have engagement. There are a lot of people who, you know, if the majority of people believe in God, the majority of scientists believe in God, and then as believers, they have a personal experience and relationship with Jesus Christ, so they can say, God got me. I may not know it all, but that doesn't take away that experience. Just like you mentioned, you said you didn't feel the Spirit, but they did. And I guess, are you saying because you didn't feel what they felt, that they're lying when you already admitted that you were pretending and faking it? It's just a lot to take in.
I feel like most of the time with Christians, they tell me that I'm just gonna burn in hell for being an atheist. And I'm like, that's not a very like holy Christian outlook to say that to someone. That's not very nice. If Christianity is supposed to be nice, not all Christians are like that, but most of the ones that I run into, they're like, well, you're going to hell. You don't believe in God, you're gonna burn in the pits of fire, and that's on you. And I'm like, that's not nice, because I wouldn't say that to anyone else. I wouldn't talk to a Muslim like that or anyone else like that. Because you know what? I just feel like there's so many people out there like me that are just scared to say how they feel. And when I met the Satanists on Clubhouse, I was just like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. How come more people don't know about this? Is there a chapter in LA? I want to go talk to people. Like, I want to just learn more and feel like maybe I belong somewhere, because I'm so secluded in my atheism out here, and there's no community. You know what I mean? There's no other like-minded people. And then, Satanism just, I've been abused. I've been tortured by people. And I got to the point where I was like, it's time for me to be selfish. I have to be selfish. That's the only way that I'm going to survive, is if I put myself first. Then I meet this Satanist, and he's like, Satanism is all about self. This is amazing. And so here we are talking now, because I'm like, this is great. So if I...
Yeah.
No, I completely get it. So if someone wanted to...
keep things fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks fun. Like, when I was watching Hail Satan, I'm like, this looks fun as hell.
Well, yeah, everybody thinks legitimacy means you can't be having fun at all, and that's just not... I can't live
someone
that life,
believing that they're going to hell,
as it is.
if it's that much fun.
Don't ask me to walk away
There's a
from
place
fun
for
when
everybody.
It's there to be had, so.
But at the same time, I will say this:
Satanists,
you're always going to run into people
that just love
who
heavy
had
metal and
different
horror
levels
movies.
of understanding.
Earlier on, our
And
demographics were
I
kind
would
of
say, I don't even
white
think,
kids in black
but you already
clothing.
admitted, most
Right.
Like
Christians aren't
it's really
saying that
shifted. Now you
to
don't
you.
know. Now I do
Oh,
speaking
you're gonna go to
engagements,
hell
and
or
I
something like
was
that. So
down
it's a
south,
mute point for me to
and this
even
older
address
couple
and say
looked like,
those probably,
you know,
I
they
probably
looked like
wouldn't
they
have
would be
said them those
regular
words
Sunday
to you, but
churchgoers.
you've already
They were
admitted that a
running up
lot
to
of
me,
there
show
are
me their
those who
membership
haven't said
cards, and I
those
thought
words to you.
that was
That's
amazing.
so
So,
cool.
Yeah.
I would,
That's
you
like,
know,
if Satan punishes bad people, isn't he good?
Right, and more than wanting to give themselves the license to do bad things, they were recognizing that bad things were being done in the name of the guys who thought they were the
so you
good
guys
guys.
are saying two
Right.
different things here. Or actually, he actually kind of quickly he hears your comment, but, and like I said, that's why I appreciate this guy, because it seems like he is knowledgeable. So when you said that comment about, well, if Satan is punishing bad people, he's good, he kind of glosses over that. Because whereas that might seek to undermine the faith, what he's actually saying is people are doing bad. There are those who would do bad in the name of good. So it's not necessarily that calling good, he's not necessarily confusing what is actually Christian dogma, at least on this point, at least as far as not saying, okay. In fact, he stands to the point of holds to the point that Satan is in opposition to Christianity. So that's why he kind of glosses over what you're saying. I'm just pointing that out so we see that, sometimes people are talking and listening is so important. And even picking up on the cues, okay. When I make my comments, because we learn from what's being communicated, what's being said, and what's not being said.
Right.
There's a psychological principle known as moral self-licensing, that is to say, when people believe themselves to be on the moral high ground, unquestionably on the moral high ground, there's a much greater tendency for them to, in actuality, act.
Totally.
And I think we see that a lot of times when we see people acting in a very immoral way, but feeling that they have some kind of entitlement to do so because they're waving a cross. And I think you're going to find good and bad people in any large enough grouping. But I think on balance, you might find a lot worse behavior in a grouping of people who feel that their morality is already established just on a symbolic basis.
Okay, so just, lots of times in conversation, people will reiterate and paraphrase and say, okay, so what you mean is this. And that's the reason why I would ask that, is because you agreed with it. But I wonder, I'm wondering if then you would be able to give an example of how you've experienced that. Because what he specifically said was people whose morality or moral high ground being on a symbolic basis. However, the Christianity doesn't place having a moral high ground on symbolism. You see what I'm saying? That's why someone could get exasperated, like, wait a second, we never said that. So that's why we'd have to stop and like, hold on, no, what does it actually say? There is, so, because he actually talks about symbolism. He says morality based upon symbolism, and he goes in to describe it furthermore as, okay, and so we can't say we are believing what you say just because you're waving a cross around. And I would say he's correct. He's correct. I have no disagreement with that. I would just say that's not what I would build morality upon. Because if you're saying the symbolism of the cross is where one's moral high ground stems from, he goes on to further mention how lots of times the cross is even used by Satanists, where they flip a cross upside down. So it's the same symbol just turned around. Then that would mean they have the same symbol. They're able to have the same moral high ground. But that's why I said that Christianity doesn't make that claim that there is a moral high ground based upon symbolism. In fact, there are other things out there that heavily focus on symbolism. Spirituality is spirituality. Belief in the actual God is belief in the actual God. If someone says they believe in God, they believe in God. And their obedience to that God that they believe in through an encounter that they have. Not they're doing this out of symbolism.
I have that's exactly what I saw growing up, and that's what made me want to run from that completely.
Right. As an atheist, you've probably gotten some of those crazy questions before, though. And I've gotten it several times in my life. Many times with regularity, somebody will ask, well, if you don't believe in the Bible, what's preventing you from raping and murdering people or doing any number of criminal acts? And to me, that's absolutely insane.
Insane.
And I think... how serious can they be about that? But you really want people to realize, look, it's not the book. You take that away, you might find you just really don't want to go out raping and murdering.
Totally. Yeah, you just don't want to hurt people because it doesn't make you feel good.
Right. Yeah. And and if you really feel that you're only not doing that for fear of punishment, maybe this is morally crippling more than morally establishing.
Now, I hear what he's saying. The thing about it, before people even come into an understanding of what Christianity is, they're not going out there raping people. So that's why I would stop and say, what are we talking about? Before anybody does any of that, they already have the laws of the land that they're all following. So the fact they're out not raping and murdering and killing, before they even got a Bible in their hand, before they didn't have a proclivity to that. But at the same time, that's not to say that you might not run into individuals who do use those words. Now, if somebody can't fully really express or communicate, Christianity, I might feel comfortable if I didn't believe in Christianity with engaging those people. Because if I keep engaging people, it's like, suppose I believe something different than another person. And like, like you said, your son believes in God. I'm glad you allow him to go ahead and believe in God. But there are people out there who could say, look, okay, along those same lines, I could easily find someone who doesn't believe what I believe, and they're a toddler, and I go ahead and find a whole bunch of people that are not at the same intellectual capacity, because I'm not really ready to tackle the conversation and the facts or actually what the Bible actually says, but I'm more comfortable talking with people who really can't communicate the faith, because it makes me feel more valid in my reasoning. The Bible is a book of knowledge, a book of wisdom and understanding. And what happens is, by reading that, there is a moral code or a value system. The Bible definitely has a value system. And furthermore, it explains the reasons and the ramifications behind that value system. And it has a value system even if it doesn't even explain the ramifications. For instance, like, what was it? Even though the Bible is against incest, we can see the medical or the biological ramifications of incest. So the Bible, like I said, okay, if it's a manual given to you for success, there are people who are able to see, and where it does show you what happens to you as you go against those morals and those values. Now they're holding to those morals and values, not necessarily for fear of going to hell, but just to be successful and fruitful in life. But then again, like I said, as you find truth and more truth, and already there is established truths, even you admitted earlier, there's some stories that you do believe, not all of it, even though you said they're just stories. As one picks up and learns this truth and the applications, or as one encounters knowledge and starts to understand the why behind it, then they can further develop and come to a conclusion through a development in their knowledge base, in their development and seeking of truth, that, okay, if this is real and this is real and this is real, more than likely that might be real. However, one thing, like, and I've mentioned this later in this dialogue, is we must not miss that Christianity, having a relationship with Christ, it's not just about following a book of rules and principles and commands. So when someone starts talking about just the books and rules and the commands and the value system, they might be missing one of the biggest factors. And the reason why it's called Christianity is because it's still based upon that one individual, Jesus Christ.